having a good time so far. Good sized group. Again, my name is Roberto Coronel, as you can see up there, and I'm going to start off first, and then Barbara will come at the end and share with you some opportunities on scholarships. Here is what I put together. Some key steps for your junior year, not yours, but your students. Importance of the program evaluation and transfer policy, walking short policy, and like I said, Barbara's going to speak about scholarships at the very end. Well, given that I work in the Advising Center, and given that our mission is to help your son and daughter graduate on time, I have to say that one of the most important steps in planning for the junior year is for your son and daughter to know, to become an expert at reading the program evaluation. Why? Because it outlines pretty much the requirements that they have to meet in order to graduate. That's just my biased opinion. The second step is to, once your student goes in, looks at the program evaluation, and is able to figure out what requirements are still pending, the next step is to go on to WebAdvisor and figure out when those courses are going to be offered, and then plan that out for the remaining semesters of Chapman, so that there is no question as to what is needed and when it is going to be taken. So that'll be second step. So once I've taken those two steps, the next step is to go through the process, try to understand as much as they can on their own, so that when they come to our office to schedule an appointment, they are prepared. They have very specific questions, and that meeting is going to be very productive. That is a big difference between a student who does all of that and one who simply walks in, sits down, and expects us to tell them exactly what they need. Even if we tell them, they're not going to remember it. So for me, it's really important that students be engaged in the advising. They own their part of the responsibility. So again, once they take those steps, they can meet with us, make an appointment for that. The other advisor that's critical in this process is the faculty advisor. That person is available there to help the student with any questions related to the major. Especially as they get close to graduating, that's going to be really critical. Now, I always encourage students to get to know the faculty, even as freshmen. So hopefully by the time they become juniors, the faculty is a very good friend and hopefully a mentor. So maintain that relationship is what I encourage the student to do. Start it early on, maintain it. The faculty advisor can recommend electives for the major, provide internship opportunities. Sometimes the faculty are very well connected. And if they know the student, and the student makes an impression on the faculty member, those are the students that are going to get the leads to opportunities such as internships or research opportunities. Faculty can also help them with assistance in writing and research support. And like I said, they can also be a mentor for the student. All right, and in the event that your son and daughter, as someone asked right now, is having trouble getting into a class or is worried that a class may not be available, then that's where getting to know your department chair and associate dean or assistant dean is going to be really helpful. Okay? You're not going to be a stranger. That person is going to know you. You've been working with them on a regular basis. And that individual can, in the case where a course may not be available, perhaps can approve a course substitution. Okay? If the class is full, that individual is going to know whether or not they're going to add additional seats to the course, or they're going to add additional sections for that class. So again, knowing where to go for help is critical, and building those relationships throughout the time that they're here is really important. Now, at this point, being a junior, my idea has always been that you should have a job waiting for you before you graduate, and I'm sure you agree with that. I'm always amazed by students who graduate and then spend 2 years looking for work. So the Career Development Center is critical, and definitely in the junior year, they should be seriously working at getting connected with an internship, whether it be here, international, whatever their career goals are. By junior year, they should really be getting onto that and having some good possibilities. The end result, of course, is hopefully to have a job after graduation. And I've known plenty of students that have been in that situation and have successfully got a job out of an internship experience. Now, in terms of advising, registration is like tax day. Everybody waits to the last minute, and then they complain why they can't see us. Well, we've been seeing people for 2 months before you come in, and there's limited space in terms of appointments. So encourage your son and daughter to come early. Definitely not before registration, not during registration. It's frustrating for them because we're not able to help them as much as we would like. And if someone comes in during that time and they get a quick service, it's kind of risky because they're not having a full session. They're coming in with really important questions, but we don't have the time to sit down and look at all the facts. And so it's really not in the best interest to do that. It is best to come early. Now, in essence, I think, from my experience, these are the most important things that are included in the planning process. How familiar are you guys with the program evaluation? I'm kind of curious. Have you guys gone online and looked at it with your student? Somewhat? Oh, okay. It's an important question. I don't want to show you something you already know. Again, it's available online via WebAdvisor. I tell my students that it's their best friend at Chapman. Why? It's available 24/7, and it tells you the truth. What a best friend. So it's really important. I would say one of the most important documents at Chapman. It'll list the graduation requirements, breaks it down, what has been completed, what has been waived, anything in progress. Is there any activity going on? What courses are they enrolled in? That is what's considered pending completion of unfinished activity. And most important of all, what hasn't been started? Because that's what you're looking for so that you can plan the remaining courses. Okay, a really important document. So let's take a look at a snapshot of the program evaluation, but let me ask some questions before we move in that direction. You probably heard the term walking short. That means someone doesn't have enough credits to graduate and have to go into emergency mode trying to figure out how to meet those requirements. Well, if you do all of this ahead of time, that generally will not happen. Will a student at the very end, either junior or senior year, have to take transfer courses? For whatever reason, maybe we don't offer the course, maybe it's cheaper to go to the community college. Will they have to do that to complete graduation requirements? It's an important question. And equally important is, will the student have completed 42 credits of upper division by the time they complete our requirements? Let me tell you why. Not at this institution, but where I was at previously. One student that I met with went through the commencement, moved to Texas, and then I found out she had 41 credits of upper division. Not 42, 41. Do you think she graduated? That didn't feel good. Having to tell her didn't feel good. Fortunately, I was able to find a course online so she didn't have to move back to California. I share that story with every one of my students to illustrate the importance of that requirement. What happens is students focus on the key requirements. How many total credits do I need to graduate? 124. What do I need in my major? What do I need for my minor? What do I need for GE? And they're not always looking for that. In some majors, this is built into the major so they don't have to worry about it. Other majors, they do have to worry about it. So let's say a student in psychology, which is about a 46 credit major, they can complete the major, they can complete GE, and still have about 32 credits of electives to get to 124. So when they take electives, they have to know, do any of those electives have to be at the upper division level, or could they be lower division? If they don't know any better, most of them wanted to go with the easier courses. So really important, and I don't think you'll forget that story. Here's a sample of the program evaluation. On the upper left side, it gives you a summary of the 18 credit transfer policy. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Down below, you see the program summary. And here's how many credits are needed to graduate. Here's how many the student has completed as of this semester, not counting work in progress. She completed 57 at Chapman. So that means that she transferred in about 66 because she's got a total of 123. So if we're going across, she needs 124, she's completed 123, only needs one more, but she's actually in 17 credits. So it looks like she'll graduate, right? Based on the 124. But that is not the case because we have to look at the requirements within the major, GE, and all of that. I had one student not so long ago who emailed me and complained that we misadvised her, and she just focused on the major and was short 3 credits. So we have documentation that we told them many times, but it's horrible for the student at the end, regardless of whose fault it was. Remember the 42 credits of upper division that I was talking about? Well, the program evaluation will tell you what you have in progress and completed. So 42 are required, 24 must be at Chapman. The other 18 can come from elsewhere. In this case, you can see here, it says earn 25, but that's not really true because this person has 3 credits in progress. So she will have 25, assuming that the course in progress is completed. So down below, for the 18, it says credits earn 18, but again, that's not true. Oops. Because she's got 7 credits in progress down here. So all the information is there. They just have to know how to use it and be committed to it. Here's another snapshot showing areas that have not been completed. Remember I was saying that it looks like she's going to have more than enough credits to graduate, but apparently she doesn't have all the courses needed. She's missing Calc 2 and Organic Chemistry. Just to show you an example. Up here it shows you that she completed Psych 101 and Calc 1. So just a quick sample of how easy it is to read and how important of a tool it is for your son and daughter. Now, some obstacles that people run into, things that can be avoided. This happens actually with math as well. Leaving the language requirement for the very end. I had one student last summer, went through the everything, commencement and everything. She needed one language course to graduate, and she could not find it anywhere. Community colleges are crowded. We were not offering it here, or somehow she wasn't able to get into it. She was going all over the state of California looking for that course. I'm not sure what happened. She never came back to see me. But she was really in a difficult situation. And the reason for that is she waited to the last minute to do it. I think she was planning to do it in summer, and somehow it didn't happen. So for the language requirement, we actually require a course at the intermediate level. So that means 3 courses, 3 semesters of a language, 101, 102, and 201. So if the student comes in and they need all 3 and they leave it for the end, that's going to be quite challenging. I did actually find a college online that offers language courses. It was after that young lady came to see me, but now I know where to refer students to. So, okay. And I just told you the story about the last year's graduating senior. Okay, another obstacle is the Interdisciplinary Cluster, and that is one of the GE requirements. That is a GE requirement that has specific criteria, okay? And the criteria is this: they have to take 12 credits. Those credits must be from outside the student's major discipline, and they cannot be shared with other GE courses, okay? Very specific. It is in the program evaluation. It tells you specifically the criteria, but for some reason, students don't understand it, or I'm not sure what happens. In any case, they end up taking the wrong course. Now, to make the problem worse is the fact that they don't declare their cluster right away. They start taking courses, and they wait until they're juniors or seniors to declare it. When you declare it, it shows on your program evaluation, and it tells you the required courses. So there's no way you can make an error, because you can see that the course that you're enrolled in is not in where it's supposed to be. So again, common mistakes. It requires 6 credits of upper division. It's basically 4 classes. They end up taking 4, but only one of them is upper division. Now, this is one area that I frequently see which causes people to delay their graduation 1 semester because of 1 class. And it's something that is easily preventable. All right, in case, not in the future, because I know all your students are going to graduate on time by the end of May. But the policy has changed in terms of walking short, and so it's fairly simple now. If the student has earned 90 credits, they can go 2 as long as they're planning to complete courses by the end of May or August. Okay, that's the new policy. Before, it was a different process, but to simplify it, if they've earned 90 credits, they can apply for degree conferral, and they can walk in commencement. They only get to do it once. So if they go through and they don't make it and they want to come back later, that's not going to happen. You only get to do it once. I remember doing it multiple times in my school. You go back with your friends and you walk with them. It was kind of fun. You know, you support your friends that graduated at a different time. So transfer policy, this applies to catalog years 2009 and later. So once a student matriculates at Chapman, they are limited to 18 transfer credits, okay? And so really important, we were talking about the student who may need a language course in their senior year. Well, what if they don't have the option to transfer that course and it's not available here? Okay. One other problem that takes place here is that students will somehow assume that they can take courses anytime without looking at the policy. So they go and they take a course without realizing that they've already exceeded the policy. So you took the course, but it's not going to count. There's no exception to that. If you already reached the limit, it's not going to count. And so that information, if the student has taken courses elsewhere and has transferred the official transcript back in, that information is reflected in the program evaluation. One problem, though, people take courses elsewhere, but they don't submit the transcript. Therefore, we don't know what the actual numbers are. And when they do go and take that class transfers back with other 4 classes that we didn't know about. Okay, and so really important that they look at that policy. Now, if the student is going to take transfer courses, it is really important that they use WebAdvisor. We have a database in it. It's a section called Chapman Transfer Courses. They can go in there and look for the course based on the Chapman name or the institution where they want to take the course. The system is in place to make sure that they take the appropriate courses, that they don't waste time and money. If the course, that database does not include every possible course. Okay? It includes a lot of it, but not all of them. So if the desired course is not in the database, then the student can email the registrar's office to get approval before he or she takes the course, before they enroll. So, and here's the email, articulation@chapman.edu. And again, there is a 70 credit limit from the community college. This is in addition to the 18. It gets a little confusing, so I'm going to keep it simple. Okay. How many of your students came in directly from high school? Most. Some of you had transfer students come in? Okay. So that the 70 credit will apply to you, possibly. So if the student is a transfer, came in with 70 credits, they already reached the limit. They can't go back to the community college and transfer any other credits. But they can go to a 4-year school because we don't have a limit on 4-year schools. So there are different policies, and so it's important for the student to come to us so we can work with them on planning that out. And again, you have a handout. So here's the program evaluation again. Hopefully now it makes more sense. The 18 credit policy is listed up here. Okay, so if they had taken courses, submitted the transcript, that information will be reflected there. Notice that it says 18 credits up above, and that's what you get. However, let's say that student comes in, they get 18 credits, but now they're a senior. At that point, if you didn't take any transfer courses before, as a senior, you only have 9 left. Use it or lose it. Okay, so really important to know that. And in relation to the 70 credit transfer policy, this student has 123 credits. She completed 57 at Chapman, which means she transfers 66. So if she wants to go to the community college, she has 4 credits left, and that's it. So you can kind of get a sense of how students can very easily make a mistake if they don't have the right information, if they're not working with us. So these are resources that I think you're all familiar with, so I don't think we need to talk too much about it. Just a friendly reminder. In terms of tutoring, I have a crazy idea about it. And that is, tutoring is something that you use to keep your A in the class. It's not something that you go to when you're in trouble. It's a weird concept, but it works. So I really encourage students to go get a tutor from day one and not when they're in trouble. By then, it's pretty much too late. And now it's Barbara's turn.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm going to be very quick, obviously, because time is short. But I'm delighted to have an opportunity to speak with you. I'm going to have a somewhat different message, than Roberto, because I'm hoping that some of your students, are going to be going on to graduate school, not looking for a job necessarily immediately after that. Maybe that comes from the perspective of having earned a PhD and encouraging our students to go on to graduate school. I really would like, there are many opportunities at Chapman to identify and to earn scholarships. Unfortunately, at the junior year, the opportunities have become more limited, but there are still some major opportunities for students right now to look at scholarships for after they graduate. And we always have alumni who come back and complete scholarships, and they're very successful also. So I work with alums, I work with juniors, I work with seniors, I work all the way through, and I like to get your students early on so I can kind of mentor them and identify scholarships early in the process of their career. There are just some general things that you still can encourage your students to do, even though they are late in the year, in terms of being a really strong scholarship applicant. Obviously, good grades are important. Some scholarships are more forgiving than others in terms of the GPA requirement. So there are options. I also want to encourage you, if your students haven't, and surely by their junior year, they have identified some faculty mentors. If they haven't, they need to do that. They need to identify faculty members whose courses they really enjoy, particularly in their major, learn to know them, go in and make an appointment, visit them. Faculty members like to talk about their field, like to talk about their research, and they love being able to help students. Those faculty members will be an invaluable resource. They will help students identify internships. They will help students identify the graduate schools that would be most important for them. They will serve as a reference for scholarships, for graduate school, for internships, for advice throughout their career, and they will develop long-time friendships. These will be one of the most valuable resources that students can have. Sometimes your students will discover they have an opportunity to do joint research with a faculty member. And let me tell you, in some fields, does that ever improve your resume, whether it's for graduate school or for a job after you graduate. I also encourage your students to be engaged. Every scholarship that I work with likes students who have a record of leadership and volunteer work. And that is true of graduate school also. They are looking for students who have a track record of having been engaged. And obviously, your students are going to get the most out of their benefit while they're here. They can take advantage of so many opportunities that exist. If they don't, they're wasting your money. They need to be engaged. And I also, recommend that, they also think about, are there honors and awards? There are always, on every application, and this is for graduate school or a job, there's usually a location that says honors and awards. There's another that says activities, leadership, and so on. These are little blocks. You don't want to just encourage your student to do a scattergun approach, because a lot more focus in certain areas that they're really interested and that they're committed to is more important than they did 25 different things while they were here, 25 different organizations. But also honors. There are honors in most majors. There are honorary societies. We have 3 interdisciplinary honor societies on campus. Also, if your students are doing well, they can get on the chancellor's list. If they came to the university on a scholarship, if they win awards while they're here, all of those are things that go into that little block. So once again, you're helping your student have a better career, a better future, if they focus on certain of these things. How many of you of your junior students are going to be delayed, possibly, and I know Roberto's saying no, but possibly, still going to graduate like in December of next year? After 2013, that are going to graduate in December, possibly. They will have to go through the summer. Okay, none of you. Wow, I should have gone first. Okay, well, I was going to say, if that's true, I have a Wonder Scholarship opportunity for you, but obviously you're saying no way. Let me tell you the major scholarships that your child is still eligible to apply for then. Once again, the Fulbright. The Fulbright, if they are interested, I want to see them sometime this spring. The application is due next fall, and it would pay for a full year to study, do a project, or serve as an English teaching assistant overseas. Everything paid for. A lifetime opportunity, and one that really does change lives of students. And so that there are two different types of awards. One is to do a creative or research project, depending on the major. And once again, all the scholarships that I'm talking about are not disciplinary specific. I only listed ones that are open to anything. And so this is a fantastic scholarship. It is one of the most highly regarded. It is also competitive, but we have students who win every year. But not only are you going to have everything paid for in terms of insurance and travel insurance, transportation, a stipend for living expenses, tuition, all of that is covered. And when you come back as a Fulbright scholar, not only will you have an experience that is amazing, almost every school would love to have a Fulbright scholar in their graduate classes. A number of institutions automatically grant scholarships to any Fulbright scholar that applies there. So the Fulbright is a fantastic opportunity. And once again, if you have a student who thinks they might want to do this, send them over. My email address is at the top of the sheet you have on the handout of all the scholarships. Less probably competitive than the full award is the ETA-ship. That's the English Teaching Assistantship. Same benefits, absolutely. Doesn't make any difference. But their task will be to work with a fully qualified teacher. They'll work about 18 hours a week in a classroom. The classroom, depending on the country, can be anywhere from elementary to high school. It can also be at the college level. And so that is a fantastic opportunity for a student who says, no, I really don't think I want to do an internship, but I would really like to have an opportunity to serve as an ETA. This is particularly good for students who may be interested in going into teaching, who have had experience doing tutoring, that really enjoy maybe working as a camp counselor. All of those are skills that they can talk about when they're applying in this application. There is also the Rotary. The Rotary, unfortunately, you will see that I say, you need to check with me. They're in the process of changing their rules. But there will be scholarships available absolutely for 2013, 2014. They offer scholarships both for undergraduate, basically you're beyond that stage, graduate, and we have 5 students studying overseas this fall. University of Edinburgh, American University in Lebanon, we have them all over. So we have a great track record of getting Rotary scholarships. And for Rotary, once again, they are very interested, in my sense, even more so than the academic quality, although once again, you don't go in with really low grades and so on. They really want to know that your student will be a good ambassador. Do they have good interpersonal skills? Do they enjoy working with people? Do they have good public speaking skills? Because they're looking for students who will be ambassador not only for Rotary, but ambassador for the United States. For both Fulbright and Rotary, they will expect the student to do some volunteer work. For Fulbright, very, very flexible. Can be almost anything that the student is interested in doing. Obviously, if they have a track record of doing it, when they talk about what they plan to do as a volunteer, that makes sense. But Fulbright and Rotary both want students not to just be interacting with professors and university students. They want students to be immersed in that country. And there is no better way of doing it than volunteering with an organization in the community. Rotary is very specific in that they want students to work with a local Rotary club in the city where the institution they are studying. Now, for the first time, Rotary has traditionally offered only ambassadorial scholarships, which means studying overseas. This year, the change in rules, they are now offering scholarships that can be used nationally. So students can apply for a scholarship in the United States. Once again, this is true. Students can apply for undergraduate or graduate all through Rotary. You just have to have 2 years under your belt of college work. They also are offering and it has been, and I'm assuming the districts are not going to change the rules, it's usually a $27,000 flat fee that the student receives. Many of our students have figured out that in terms of the cost of the tuition, the living stipend they receive, that if they're going to a school where, and it's graduate level, it is for full-time graduate work or undergraduate work, but they're all graduate students this year, that they can complete a master's degree in 12 months with almost no additional money or a little additional money. And so they're coming back with an earned master's degree after their Rotary year abroad. Once again, Rotary is extremely generous in terms of their support. Wherever your child may be placed, they will have a host family, a host club who looks after them and frequently takes them out to dinner, provides holiday excursions, and so they're able to save a little money that way also. But they're getting to know families and people in that country. In addition, they are offering now a new scholarship, much more focused. It's described in there. There are 6 areas. It is only for graduate study. If the student is planning a career in one of those 6 areas, a minimum of $30,000, and it can be renewed for up to 3 years. A very, very, very generous award. It is only for overseas study. There are several other scholarship opportunities. These are more narrowly focused, and they are for students who are really interested in learning a language, particularly a critical language. That's either the Critical Language Scholarship or the Boren Scholarship. Now, the critical language is strictly summer, so if you have a student who has never studied abroad, who says, ooh, I don't know if I want to go there for a full year or even a full semester, then they may be interested in summer, usually about 9 to 10 weeks during the summer. You would be studying overseas, and it would be a critical language. In terms of a critical language, we're talking primarily about Middle Eastern, East or South Asian, and some Eastern European countries. And once again, receiving a critical language scholarship is frequently a jumping off point to get additional aid, additional scholarships. So it is very beneficial. The Boren is more extensive. Once again, more languages, but still regarded as what is critical. But there are a number of countries, a tremendous number of languages that are covered. And that is offered both at the undergraduate and the graduate. Once again, you're at the graduate level, basically, unless any of your students are still going to be enrolled after next May. Not this coming May, but next May. And once again, that can be up to $20,000 for 2 semesters. And for the graduate fellowships, the advantages are, and the amount of the award is even greater. So there are other scholarships. If you have special interest students who are in other majors that are very, very specific, there are some for science, there are some for environmental science, and so on. But once again, the opportunities for scholarships do tend to decline unless they are interested in applying in their senior year or even as an alum. Because some scholarships you apply for in your junior year, such as the Truman. Others you really need to be applying for, at least at the beginning or the end of your junior year into the senior year. Any questions? Okay, thank you. I wish I had met you last year. Given you a lot more ideas and a lot more suggestions, but I really hope that I will meet some of your students and encourage me if they have interest. As I said, I do work with seniors and alums, so send them along. if you want them to earn some money so you aren't continuing to pay them after college.